example very recently with the COVID-19 pandemic, that China was active in covering up the wheel, to spreading lies around the world, how this disease come from. Now we know that it comes from the laboratory, military laboratory inside the Wuhan, but the tragedy, the deaths, the pain incurred over the societies all over the world, like wearing this mask and this stuff, that was both irresponsible and dangerous. Yet, China seems to be getting away from that, like nothing happened.
Well, I have to say that I do feel disappointment to the reaction in the free world, the so-called democratic society, right? There are more evidence, as you said, that this virus might be actually artificial, created in the lab. But of course, we don't know if it's released intentionally or from the accident. But what we very clear is that the Chinese government are actually knowing the existence of virus way earlier than the whole world is aware of it. And actually, not just the Chinese government is knowing it. There are several doctors try to warn the Chinese society about this new SARS or virus 3 months before the news being break to the world. But what the Chinese government do is arresting them, force them to give a confession saying, okay, there's no such virus, it's a lie, we're spreading the rumors. But what if China is more transparent and democratic? Then it means we would have much longer time to deal with it. Maybe it will be an outbreak regionally. It is not necessary to be a global pandemic.
And you wouldn't coerce the media in America or Europe to deny the epidemics, because we know that the people from China were traveling well into the March of 2020, when everyone knew, including the World Health Organization, that there is an outbreak and the travel from China should be restricted. So that also says a lot about the external influences of CCP.
Well, of course, when we call it a China's Communist Party, we think it's some kind of communist ideology. But it's actually a monster mixed by communist ideology, and they're very good at using capital to control the entire world. Well, I'm glad you mentioned WHO. My personal question and opinion on WHO is how much it is compromised and
100%. I can answer you very quickly.
Well, this is my role as an artist, to ask questions, and perhaps your role as a journalist is answering those questions. But more importantly, the problem is there's only one voice. When China uses its money to controlling this very important organization that should have the responsibility to warn the entire world, but does it doing its due diligence that achieve its goal? For me, it's a question mark.
Well, we in Poland look at your art and the blend between the present and past. You kind of recreated the picture of Kronos, that Renaissance where you were eating people, and now you have Xi Jinping as a god eating people and Putin as a lesser god eating each other on the opposite sides. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, for me, what happened in China, in Russia, particularly Russia's invasion in Ukraine, is unacceptable. It should never happen in the 20th century. It should never happen when the world has advanced into a much more civilized status. So, for some people, they may argue, oh, this is a hard image to looking at. This is too much for public. But my argument would be we should not look away, because this is the accurate metaphor to showing what's really happening in China and in Ukraine by the Russian invaders.